Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you're doing well. And if you're new here, I'm Jim. Thanks for stopping by. This video is in Luminar Neo, and I'm going to do something that seems really simple on the surface, which is build a preset. If you saw my most recent video about the new preset functionality in Luminar Neo, you will know that presets are now included, and also you can build your own. I'm going to build my own preset in this video. And while I know you already know how to do that, make your edits, save as preset, and you're done, I'm going to walk through kind of my thought process on how I build a preset. And if you want to follow along, we can build it together and you will end up with what I consider a pretty awesome little preset. I've been playing around with these and kind of experimenting and making presets and that sort of thing. So I want to walk through the build process, what I'm thinking about, how I approach it, and specifically, this is a preset for sunsets. So it would be sunset or twilight or golden hour or sunrise, those kind of things. But I found that the preset that I built is actually really flexible, and I'm using it now on a lot of sunset shots. So if you're interested in a free preset, follow along, build this with me, and you will end up with what I consider a pretty nice little preset. So here's the photo that I'm starting with. I was playing around with this because it's a sunset, just kind of experimenting and trying to figure out what I wanted to do and how I wanted to approach building a preset for this sunset. Now, the first thing that I think about is that I want to start with a photo that is pretty well lit, or at least evenly lit. In other words, I don't want a photo that's extremely dark in certain areas or extremely bright in other areas. I want it to be reasonably flat light overall. And that's because if I have to compensate for that in the preset, then that's going to impact how the preset is showing up on other photos. It kind of makes sense, right? So if you really have to fix a whole lot of highlights or brighten a whole lot of shadows, you apply those kind of extreme edits to a preset, it's going to not necessarily, I think, not going to look as good on photos that you use it on. So I want to start with an image that's fairly flat. I'm starting with develop here. Works the same on a raw file. This happens to be a JPEG, but I do what I normally do, which is just kind of, a little bit of smart contrast here. I'm going to pull down the highlights a little bit, simply because when I'm shooting a sunset, usually the sky is a little bit brighter, so I want to pull back the highlights. I'm also going to brighten the shadows some, and again, simply because when you're shooting a sunset, you're going to end up with a little bit brighter highlights, a little bit darker shadows. So I want to basically balance that out while also adding a little bit of contrast. Not a really big deal there, but slight adjustment to the photo. There it is before, and there it is after, slightly evening out the light. Then I go into color, and all I'm going to do is take vibrance to about 20. So it just bumped up the overall look of the photo a little bit. There it is before, and there it is now. Not a big difference, but again, just approaching it from the standpoint of, I want to add a little bit of contrast, I want to control any highlights or shadows, I want to give it a little bit of bump in color, and just kind of have a nice base photo. That's what develop is for, in my opinion. Next up, I go to Accent AI, and this is one I think you need to be a bit careful with. I'm going to go to 20. I don't want to overdo it, because what Accent AI does, as you know, is it's going to pop colors, it's going to pop contrast, it's going to adjust the light, things like that. So I'm very gentle when I use things in presets. I don't want to go too far. I want kind of a gentle preset because I want it to be broadly applicable across a range of images. If I build a preset that's only good on one photo, that's just like editing a photo. That doesn't really save me any time. I, of course, want a preset that I can stick on multiple photos. And so again, I want to approach it from the standpoint of, okay, be kind of calm, Jim. Don't overdo it. Don't push it too far. And yet, even so, you're going to find photos that this preset and other presets you make, it's just not going to apply to every photo. There is no one preset to rule them all kind of things. But for sunsets, I found this one has been plenty applicable. So there it is before and after. I'm going to go ahead and commit that. Now, because it's a sunset, I go straight into golden hour, and I love golden hour. And I'm going to go to about 35, which actually seems a little bit heavy-handed, but keep in mind, you can apply a preset and then you can go into the edit tab and adjust accordingly, which I definitely think you will want to do, again, depending on the actual photo. But what I wanted to do is pop up those warmer tones that are in a sunset and give me that nice warm look overall. So there it is before golden hour, and there it is now. Again, I'm going to go ahead and commit that. And here's where I move into toning. I love toning. I use it on a lot of photos, and on sunsets, I use it quite a bit as well. I will start in the highlights, and the hue I'm going to leave at 0, which is basically in the red, and the saturation I'm going to about 40. So again, might seem a little bit high, but don't forget, and I recommend doing this, and that is go in and adjust the preset after you've applied it. To me, a preset is a starting point, but it can certainly get you pretty close to where you want to be. again, depending on the photo. But you can see that's warmed up the photo a little bit more. A lot of that blue in the sky, which I do like. I like my blues. It's now a little bit warmer. But I also want to play a little bit with these shadows. I'm going to go saturation of about 20. So let me get to 20. But my hue is going to be in the blues. I'm going to go to about a 235 or 236, something like that. So I'm bringing back a little bit of the blues, but mostly in the shadow, whereas I'm bringing up the warm tones and the highlights. For me, even with the sunset, when things should be warm, I like a little bit of that cool and warm interplay. Again, personal preference, but I'll show you how this preset looks on several other photos. There it is before toning, and there it is now. So I'm liking that. And the last thing I'm doing is just going into color harmony. Here, brilliance and warmth are both going to get a bump to about a 10. And all that's doing is popping up the intensity a little bit. And then I'm going to go into split color warmth, and I'm going to give the warmth about a 10 as well. So there you go, before and after. So let me show you the overall before and after of this preset. There it is before I did anything, and there it is now. So I like that. Down in the actions menu, save as preset. It's going to come up and say, what do you want to name this? And I'm going to call it Sunset because I'm super original. So there it is. There's my sunset preset. Now what I want to do is pop into my catalog, show you how this preset looks on various other photos. I will just start with this one, click on presets, come over here to sunset, one click, and boom, there it is. That's my work. Very applicable there. That's actually almost exactly what I would do to this photo. So one click, perfect application, in my opinion, across this photo. Now, this is a photo from the same day of the same thing, same kind of shot, which is a long exposure. So I want to show you some other examples as well. Here's a completely different location, also a long exposure, and I promise this is not just a long exposure preset, but this is Moraine Lake in the Canadian Rockies at sunset. Click that and boom, I've got nice warm tones overall. And this is an example where I'd probably need to go in and pull down the highlights a little bit more, but otherwise, honestly, I just think that looks fantastic. Here's another example, and this is nothing even close to a sunset. This is just an intimate little mountain scene of a waterfall or a river, but you know, you click that preset on there, it gets some nice warm tones. It looks as though sunset is coming in and hitting in that, even though I was in a canyon, it was like mid-afternoon, something like that. So a little bit broadly applicable how this preset can be used on different kinds of photos. Here's a sunset from Prague, completely unrelated kind of image, but a cityscape in this case. There it is before, and then I click on preset and apply that, and honestly, I just think that looks really nice. There it is before, and there it is now. Here's another example. Here's a blue hour shot from London, and let's say I want to create a little bit warmer tones in this image. Just one click on my sunset preset. You can see what it's done. It's still blue hour, but it's warmed it up, and a lot of those city lights that were a little bit muted have popped, including this street light and the glow of the street light on that bench, and all the lights across the city, including those on the Shard. So if I show you the before, certainly flatter overall, and the after, it's got a nice little bit of warmth popping in that blue hour shot. So that's what I mean. This preset that I just built, I'm finding it to be applicable across a lot of different kinds of photos. And here's a different sort of image, another sunset, and one click, of course, and you get that applied to your image. So you can see how this is working. I'm finding this to be very applicable. I want to be clear, there's no such thing as one preset to rule them all. You will need to go in often and make further refinements, which you can do. You click on the preset, apply that to your photo, go into edit, and then as you go into edit, you'll have all the tools here. These are the 5 tools that I used in this preset, so you can come in and adjust accordingly or season to taste, as I like to say. But that's my thought process and how I walk through building a preset, and it's basically a free preset for you, my friends. Hope it gives you some ideas about how I approach that and also how you can approach that in terms of building your own. Hopefully you followed along, made these same adjustments, saved this as your own preset, and I hope it helps you get some beautiful looking sunset shots of your own. Thanks for watching, my friends. I appreciate it. I'll be back soon with more Luminar Neo videos. If you like this kind of stuff, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Leave me a comment down below and let me know how this preset is working for you on your own photos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon, my friends. You guys take care of yourselves. And until next time, adios.